Title: From Silence to Symphony, How I Turned Their Mockery into My Triumph. I remember the day they told me I was wasting my life, clear as a bell ringing in a dead lake. My family, with their eyes full of contempt, said I was chasing a ridiculous dream, becoming an environmental bioacoustician, and they laughed at me, called me naive, said I was an embarrassment for even trying. "You'll fail," they scoffed. "You're wasting your time on some fringe science. Nobody cares about those boring ocean sounds." And I felt it. Every word, every smear. They planted doubts deep in my heart. For years I carried that shame like a heavy stone. But I never let it drown me. After being publicly discredited and fired for exposing hazardous corporate dumping, I was at my lowest. My reputation shattered, my career in ruins. I stood on the brink of giving up. That was the point I realized I couldn't keep living in the shadow of their ridicule. I had to prove, not just to them, but to myself, that I was worth something more than their contempt. So I turned to the nearly forgotten art of bioacoustic ecology, studying aquatic soundscapes to detect pollution. I poured myself into it. At first, it was seen as a fringe hobby, dismissed by mainstream scientists as a useless curiosity. They scoffed at my methods, dismissed my data, and mocked my obsession with underwater sounds. But I knew what I was hearing. Clues the world's drowning ecosystems were trying to whisper. The journey was brutal. There were nights of silence, of frustration, of feeling like I was screaming underwater, unheard. I faced skepticism, ridicule, and a cold loneliness that threatened to swallow me whole. But I listened harder. I trained my ears to hear what others ignored, the subtle shifts in the aquatic symphony, the dying whispers of ecosystems on the brink. And then, slowly, the pieces started to come together. I discovered patterns of noise pollution, the sounds of illegal dumping, the destruction buried beneath the waves. My groundbreaking evidence led to investigations, lawsuits, and finally, justice. The culprits were held accountable, and the ecosystems I studied began to heal. Years later, I returned home, not as the laughingstock they once mocked, but as someone who had turned silence into a symphony of hope. I had transformed barren lands into thriving ecosystems, using sound to restore life where others saw only decay. My work had become a beacon, proving that even the quietest voices can roar with power when given the right listening ears. The day I stepped back into my childhood home, I knew this was the moment to confront the past. My family gathered in the living room, skeptical, wary, still holding on to their old judgments, and I decided to show them, not just tell them. I played recordings, underwater symphonies of life thriving beneath the surface. I played the soundscape of a once dead river now teeming with fish, frogs, birds, life reborn from the depths of neglect. I watched their faces shift as they heard what I had created, what I had fought so hard to bring back. Then I turned to them, eyes fierce with quiet strength. "You told me I'd fail," I said softly, but with conviction. "You said I was wasting my time." But I listened. I listened to what the world was telling me beneath the noise. Tales of destruction, yes, but also of hope. And I used that hope to build something real. something that can't be silenced anymore. That I was never the failure they branded me, just a dreamer who refused to drown out the whispers of the earth. As I left that house, I felt a weight lift from my shoulders. I saw the echoes of their past mockery transform into a lesson of humility and growth. I realized that success isn't just measured by medals or recognition. It's measured by the quiet victories that restore hope, revive ecosystems, and change lives. And now, whenever I look at the thriving forests and bubbling rivers I've helped bring back, I think of their words, how they tried to drown my dreams with doubt, and how I turned that noise into a symphony of life. Their ridicule now echoes hollow in the face of what I've accomplished. I know they'll never fully understand the power of listening, of patience, of believing in the unseen. But I don't need their approval anymore. I've learned that true victory is in the silent, persistent effort to make the world better, one sound at a time. Because in the end, it's not about proving them wrong. It's about proving yourself right, about the strength you hold when you refuse to be silenced. And I'll keep listening, because the world still has many stories to tell, and I'm finally ready to hear them all.